everybody, and welcome to day 3 of spoiler season for Adventure in the Forgotten Realm. My name is Stefan. I'm a content creator here on YouTube, and you're joining me here at the General Warfare headquarters. So, day 3 has come and gone. We still have a couple of spoilers for the rest of the night tonight. We're going to be taking a look at 8 cards today, and so if you're ready, I'm pretty much ready. Let's take a look at these cards. So the first card on our list is the Deck of Many Things. It's a 5-mana legendary artifact. For 2 and tap it, you roll a d20 and subtract the number of cards in your hand. If the result is 0 or less, discard your hand. So the first one is between 1 and 9, you return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Between 10 and 19, you draw 2 cards, and if you hit a natural 20, or if the total is 20, you put a creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When that creature dies, its owner loses the game. A card I've been waiting to see from Wizards since the announcement of this set, and I think it actually works. Dice rolling is now a legal mechanic in Magic. Before, it was only printed in the Un-series of cards like Unhinged and Unglued, etc. The last effect here is very good with the restriction of your hand size, since it's not completely busted. A lot of the times, if you're going to be running this deck, you're going to be running this card in a deck. I feel like this would be a discard or madness deck, like an Anya Falkenroth deck. However, that being said, you're still going to be getting a lot of value off this card in discard decks. The fact that you have to subtract the number of cards in your hand means that that number 20 is going to be a little bit out of your reach for most of the times of the game. It's going to be a lucky draw whenever you get a 20, an actual 20, and you get to threaten your opponents with a creature that they own. Next, we're looking at Volo, Guide to Monsters. It's a 3/2 for 2 green and blue, so 2 in Simic for a legendary human wizard. When you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, you copy that spell, and a copy of the creature spell becomes a token. It's a pretty cool new commander option, I'm not gonna lie, giving you non-tribal value. If you ever want to build a Simic good stuff deck, he would be a great option for you. With the card draw effect, it nets you so much value, so you don't even need to be playing a tribal deck to run Volo. If you're just doing good stuff, you just play him as your commander or in the deck, and you're gonna be profiting off his card draw ability. Next, we're looking at Delina, Wild Mage. She's a 3/2 for 3 and a red legendary elf shaman. When she attacks, you choose target creature you control, then roll a d20. If it's between 1 and 14, you create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary and it has exile this creature at the end of combat. And between 15 and 20, you create one of those tokens and you roll again. So this is easily my favorite mono red commander in this set. She gets nearly 0 drawbacks off her ability. You're going to be creating tokens from ETB creatures, triggers constantly. This is just great in Obeka decks, since with Obeka's ability, you can end the turn before you have to exile those cards. And I'm sure she'll not be a big investment, so she's a potential deck brew option for a video in the future on my channel. If you haven't seen any of my deck brew videos, if this is the first time on this channel, I'm going to have a link to the top right of your screen with all the Brewing with $50 episodes. Those are the deck techs that I usually do on this channel, so check them out. Next, we're gonna be looking at Dragon Disciple. For 1 and a white, a 1/3 for a human monk. As Dragon Disciple enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. If you do, or if you control a dragon, Dragon Disciple enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. The second ability is the most important. Dragons you control have Ward 1. So Ward is whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you counter it unless that player pays one more mana. This may be a really underrated card when this set officially releases. For Dragon Tribal players, having that extra aversion to removal does help. Opponents having to pay 1 extra does hurt them on their turn, as they're expending resources to remove your dragons from play. So that extra 1 mana does make a gigantic impact, even though the first coming into play is kind of unnecessary. It's just extra aversion for your dragon spells. And now we're going to be looking at 3 cards from yesterday that I never gotten a chance to talk about. So we're going to start off strong with Instrument of the Bards. So for 1 green legendary artifact, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a Harmony counter on Instrument of the Bards. And for 3 and a green and tap it, you search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of Harmony counters on Instrument of the Bards. You reveal it and put it into your hand. If that card is legendary, create a treasure token, then shuffle. So this is like Yisan, the Wandering Bard, except for 1 green mana. It's hard to argue that players wouldn't run some form of removal, yet if this sticks around long enough to net you value, you'll be leagues ahead of your opponents. You can run this in Yisan, you can run this in Dosan, you can run this in practically any deck that runs legendary cards. I would even put this in Sisay Weatherlight Captain deck, because this is just really, really strong. Next, we're gonna be looking at Orcis, Prince of Undeath. A 5/3 for X2 and black and red, so X2 and Rakdos for a legendary demon with flying and trample. When Orcis, Prince of Undeath, enters the battlefield, choose one. Each other creature gets -X until end of turn. You lose X life, or you return up to X target creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. It's a potential board wipe and recursion engine all in the same triggered ability. Having access to mass removal on a creature spell does allow you to further your game plan, and also the recursion easy combo help as well. So you can run this as just an entire reset on the board, or you can actually just try to win the game with his recursion ability. I would love to see what kind of decks you could build with Orcis. So if you have any deck lists already built for Orcis, put them in the comments down below. And the last card from yesterday that we're going to talk about today is You Find Some Prisoners. So if you've seen already the spoilers up to this point, you know about this card. For 1 and a red instant, you get to choose one. You either break their chains, you destroy a target artifact, or you interrogate them. You exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library, choose one of them. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. I had this in my notes from yesterday's video, but realized afterwards I forgot to record this bit, so I'm recording it right now. It's such a good red card for 2 mana. I'm definitely running this in my red decks. Having access to mess up your opponent's draw is crucial to certain decks to go off. And not only that, you can always steal a big spell that they could have tutor up for. Amazing enough, I'm probably going to run this. It's a very good CDH fodder too, so I'm more than likely going to be running this in all of my red decks, even my CDH decks as well. And the last card we're going to be talking about today is Gretchen, Titchwillow. A 0/4 for green and blue, so just Simic. Legendary Halfling Druid for 2 and Simic. Draw a card, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is Explorer on a body. It's a solid landfall commander and it can easily see play as much as Tatyova potentially. For it being 2 mana, it'll definitely get eyes attracted to your side of the field, especially if you're playing this as a commander herself, since you're going to be netting a lot of landfall abilities, a lot of landfall triggers. You can easily combo off in these decks. I mean, I would definitely keep my eyes on this card if I'm ever playing against this. And those were today's 8 cards. What do you guys think of these cards? How do you feel the spoiler season's going around? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, you can follow me on all my socials. I'm very active on TikTok, and you can also follow me on my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Twitter. Hello, cat. So as I mentioned, the last 2 days, I'm going to be posting every day of spoiler season for Adventure in the Forgotten Realm. So we have one more video out for tomorrow, and then I'll be back here on Monday to spoil the rest of Adventure in the Forgotten Realm with you. So until then, this is Ripley, I'm Stefan, signing off from the General Warfare headquarters, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So until then, what do we say, Ripley? We say, cheers, everybody.